Literally the next day, I think 90% of our clients said we've got to either stop our retainer altogether or reduce it by 50%. So we were literally 50% to 60% ahead of our income, literally went overnight.
This is the We Built This Business podcast. I'm your host, Daniel O'Sullivan. This is the podcast for UK business owners to share their journey, their knowledge, their sacrifices, and their successes. This podcast is sponsored by Team Building Experiences. If you're planning a team building event, away day, or corporate event, then check out team-building-experiences.co.uk and state podcast 15 in the comments to receive 15% off your proposal. Today, I'm pleased to have Rachael Willoughby on the podcast talking about her entrepreneurial journey. Rachael runs a pizza delivery company called Casa G's and a software business called Square One Software. Rachael, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Rachael, could you please give our listeners a brief overview of what you're up to at the moment?
Okay, well, right now, I'm running two businesses, one which is a software business and one which is a pizza delivery business. So pretty different from each other, but I spend only about half a day now in the software business, and the rest of my time is spent in the pizza business in terms of developing that and working on the marketing side of it. So I find that far more exciting now than the software business because I've had that for 20 odd years and I'm bored of that now. I need to do more challenges, new challenges.
The pizza business, where is it located?
It's actually in I say small village. It's probably the largest village in England, I believe it's called. There's about 16,000 people in this village. It's called Bishop's Cleeve. So we deliver a 4-mile radius of there that encompasses another 3 or 4 villages as well.
Amazing. So you've got a software business and you've been running that for 20 years. What drove the need to start a pizza business?
Well, the pandemic, I'm afraid. Good old Boris, when he announced that we were going into lockdown on March the 23rd, 2020. See, that's blazoned on my head because literally the next day we had quite a few retainer clients. Things were ticking over with Square One, nice 6-figure business, and then literally the next day, I think 90% of our clients said we've got to either stop our retainer altogether or reduce it by 50%. So we were literally 50% to 60% ahead of our income, literally went overnight.
Wow.
Which is fine. And we knew we could last a couple of months with that, but obviously we didn't know what the situation with the pandemic was going to be. But also we still had all our expenses were still going out, 2 lease cars sitting on the drive, all of that. There was nothing, we couldn't save anything in terms of what was going out. So that was a little bit of we probably need to be thinking of doing something else. And my partner, life partner and business partner, Elliot Richmond, he just had to mention, we were lying in bed one morning and he said, well, the businesses that are going to do really well at the moment are, restaurants that pivot to takeaways, etc. and takeaways. And I said, what do you mean like pizza? Now, what I should let you know is that Elliot's always made pizza for years and years, and friends and family have always said, you should sell these. And he looked at me and I looked at him and I said, well, what else are we going to do with our time? We've not got any much software business coming in. So literally within 3 weeks, we were able to spin up a website, or rather Elliot did, because obviously he's got all the coding. And we were up and running. I honestly didn't think it would be something you could do that easily. I thought there'd be red tape left, right and centre. Bit of Googling, found out all you need to do, because we set it up from our home. We still work from our own kitchen. All you need to do is register with the food agency, the local agency, borough council. And when I say register, literally just fill in a form, and that is it. That's all you have to do. Then they come around periodically to check you out and give you your 5-star, well, in our case, your 5-star rating in terms of food hygiene, and take a certificate exam online. And that was literally it. So I couldn't really quite believe how easy it was.
Amazing. So lockdown's just happened. You've got your food rating. You've started making some pizzas. What happens next? So you're delivering to the local village. I'm assuming.
Yeah, we're delivering. I mean, it was very much a family business. So our 2 boys, who then aged 12 and 15, I think, they were delivering them on their bikes. And then if it was a slightly wider radius, I would be going up in the car. But we literally thought it was going to be 3 or 4 months. We weren't intending it to be something that would last for a long time. We just thought it was just during lockdown. And I remember getting our first order, and it was in the village Winchcombe, which is our village just on the edge of the 4 miles. So you're really excited. I drove off to get that, to deliver that, came back, another order had pinged through Winchcombe, and it was the next door to where I'd actually just delivered a pizza. So obviously when I went to the door, I said, yeah, how do you know about us? Oh, well, next door neighbours had just told us they've had a pizza from you. Great. Went back home, another order from Winchcombe, went over, it was nowhere near the place that I delivered, but always again said, how did you hear about us? Oh, I've just had a phone call from my mate, he's just had a pizza from you. So it was kind of escalated. Eventually, we started getting orders more closer to home, but that's how it sort of expanded, with word of mouth. We were doing marketing in terms of just local Facebook not advertising then, it was literally just on the local notice boards, and I had built up a load of sort of excitement about the fact that we were coming. And Winchcombe does have, and still doesn't have, anybody that delivers pizzas to them, because it's quite a way out from the main town of Cheltenham. So yeah, it just sort of spiraled, and I now think if we decide to stop, we'd get lynched. And we have regular people that spent thousands of pounds. I'm not kidding, thousands of pounds on pizzas. We have people that will order every week. So it's very, we have a time slot situation. So people order with a time slot. We need to make sure that our pizzas are delivered hot and on time. That's our premise. So you order a time slot. We only make a certain number in that, so we do sell out. And I think they're having that kind of demand as well. So when people know you sell out, they order earlier. So we get orders coming in on the Monday. We're only open Friday and Saturday at the moment.
Wow. So you've grown to where you are today. How many staff do you have staff employed now? Do they still work from your house?
Yeah, now we have 5 part-time staff. My kitchen is like Waterloo Station on a Friday and a Saturday night. So we've got 2 delivery staff and another chef as well, because we actually bought a trailer in June last year. So the idea is we can do events. So we do weddings, we do pop-ups at pubs, but the other idea is that we can use it as a separate kitchen. So we can actually double the amount of pizzas that we can get out. So we're just gradually working up to that at the moment. We've gone from originally doing 6 pizzas in our home oven, literally our home oven, to having now lots of pizza ovens and doing, we do 12, but we're planning to get that up to 24 pizzas per half an hour. So just a gradual build up.
Fantastic. And how does Square One software, so you say you're doing about half day a week on that, does that software business work at all with the pizza delivery business?
Well, it does, because in terms of the fact that Elliot has created, so he's a WordPress wizard, so he's created all the software. We've actually devised our own ordering and kitchen system, plugs into a website as well. So the plan is in the future to get people onto, so I'm going to be creating some courses, and I want to do a course on how to create your home a catering company from your own kitchen, and then we'll ideally get them onto a subscription to say, here's the website and here's the ordering system and everything that you actually need, so it all hooks in. So from that point of view, I only work quarter of the day, half a day, or whatever it is, because I don't actually do all the coding. Elliot does coding, I do marketing, and we're kind of sort of trying to wind it down, but more get passive income from that side of the business. So Elliot's busy doing YouTube stuff, and again, we may well create some software courses as well.
Excellent. And I suppose you could then sell that to other independent pizza providers around the country.
Absolutely, yeah. So there's all sorts of scope for doing, because I'm on a Facebook group for a number of pizza things, and I see the issues that people are having with ordering systems that they're buying into. So I can then go to Elliot and say, look, whatever ordering system we do, it needs to make sure it does this, it does this. So I'm gradually gathering sort of information, so that when we do put those products out, that they'll be suitable for the market.
Fantastic. So when you started up, a lot of people that are looking to start a business, one of the big concerns is obviously financial. The pandemic's just happened, so you've got liabilities coming out. Did you have to borrow any money to start the business up?
No, I mean, I've been, so I've started up a number of businesses. I've never actually borrowed any money whatsoever, because what we did, but obviously we didn't know what the demand was going to be either. So we didn't invest in any specific equipment. We were literally had, a what's it called? Not a hand blender, but not a very big dough mixer. It was literally a Kenwood Chef, with a bowl. So we started off with that, and obviously our own oven. So we didn't really, and we had all the equipment in terms of bowls, etc. It's only as we expanded that we put money aside, and then we obviously developed into, like, let's get a pizza oven now, let's get a big dough mixer. And we've got a massive dough mixer. We actually even need a bigger one now. So yeah, we've been fortunate that we didn't really need to invest in anything, because we didn't have to invest in a website, because obviously we've got those skills anyway. And as I said, we started small, and then we put money aside every sort of week. When we decided that actually this is probably going to last more than 3 or 4 months, I think we bought our first pizza oven 3 or 4 months into it, mainly because our oven blew up, because it was just having too much stress put on it. So we thought, well, rather than buy another oven, just a normal kitchen oven, we'll get a pizza oven. So yeah, we've literally just built up. We've been lucky that we've not had to actually have an investment and got to pay anything off. We've literally just kept money aside. So even now we put money aside because we know that we're going to need to have a bigger dough mixer. We're actually also thinking about getting maybe an electric bike for our bike boys, who'll be delighted, I'm sure. So we're putting money aside to sort of like expand later. So in my opinion, if you can do that, then that's an idea. It depends on what your business idea. It's not always possible.
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, reinvestment and bootstrapping a business is, one of the best ways to do it without taking, large amounts of risk. Talking of people, you said you've now got 5 part-time staff. What was, when you were first looking to take on that first hire, who was that person and why?
Well, we needed, so basically my boys, what teenage boys are, I've had enough of this, I'm not doing this for the rest of my life. So they went. I said, well, okay, so we need a bike boy. And I'm quite lucky that I've got a lot of friends who've got kids the same age as my sons. So the first thing I did was put it out to them, because I wanted somebody, because obviously it's in our own home. So I wanted somebody that we kind of knew to an extent, or knew of. So that's how we've always recruited, to be honest. It's always been teenagers of friends, except for one of our delivery boys. He's not, I can't call him a delivery boy. He's a man, and he actually uses his car. He came through just Facebook, but again, it's just like people recommending people. We tried advertising for a part-time chef, but the problem is with that is that obviously a qualified chef isn't going to want to just work 2 hours, 3 hours a night for 2 nights a week. They've got mortgages, etc. to pay. So we've overcome that situation by our bike boys training up to be chefs, because they've actually seen it all, and that's where they've come up from. In actual fact, my son, who was a bike boy, is now also a chef. He's watched his dad making pizzas. So yeah, that's the way we've actually recruited from up through the ranks, to be honest. But we needed somebody that we could, that we knew, rather than a total stranger coming in to our home environment.
I've actually got a little bit of experience in the pizza market. So when I went traveling when I was 21, I went to Big White in Canada, which is a ski resort, and I managed to get a job in a pizza parlor, and it was a very entrepreneurial guy. So we were making pizzas from scratch, making all the dough, getting the pizzas out, and they served the whole mountain. So I did that for 6 months. So I've got a bit of experience. It's a very hard and fast-paced job when the orders start coming in. You always think you've prepped enough.
Yeah, you need to. So we've now realised that if you pre-bake and get pre-orders in, so like an hour before the shift actually starts, we'll pre-bake the ones that we know, so then we're just splashing them out. Gives it a better, crisper base, to be honest, but it's also so much less stressful than, and it's taken us a while. We'll be 4 years next week, I think, or April the 23rd, something like that. So, but it's taken us all that time to twig. And I think it was only Elliot watching, because he watches a lot of pizza people on YouTube and Instagram stuff, and he's like, oh, they've got all those racks that they've got with the pizzas behind them, and then he dawned on him that actually they were pre-baking them. So yeah, I'd like to have learned that a couple of years before, but hey, you live and learn.
The thing is you're constantly evolving, aren't you? And if you can watch other people in the space and see what they've done, that are a few steps ahead of you, it can save
Absolutely.
you a lot of learning time.
I think so. And the other thing is we're always learning from our customers, so we always ask for feedback. And if we get any negative feedback whatsoever, we look at see how can we not get that again, and how can we improve our systems, etc. So over the past 3 years, we've when we look at the pizzas that we used to deliver, we could take a photo of them and it's like, oh my, can't believe we actually sent those out, because now we do a really proper traditional Neapolitan with a nice risen base. But look at some of the pictures from the early days, which people still loved. In actual fact, we have some people that say we preferred them when they were much flatter. A lot of people don't like the Neapolitan style. But we look at what we sent out, we said, flipping heck. We actually used to sell that. So we see it as a progression that we're constantly trying to improve our customer service and the product. And we're always looking at new product ideas, etc.
Brilliant. The quality is always I think when any business person starts and they look out of how they were operating when they first begun, good is good enough, isn't it? At the time, you have to start getting customers.
Yeah, and you don't really know any better, especially if you're in a totally different industry than you used to work into before. I guess if people hadn't been buying them, then we would have think, oh, there's a problem with our product. But people, they're still tasty, but we just think that they look better now. They're more aesthetically pleasing. I mean, some of them, because we now use sort of wraps and stuff, they're actually round, whereas some that we send out used to look like naan breads and all sorts of things. But taste was good.
Yeah. So you mentioned the event catering side. Do you go out to festivals and local events and?
We don't do festivals because we're electric oven based rather than like a wood fired. So we need to have electricity supply, but we do go to pub pop-ups where we plug into their electricity, and we do wedding events where again we can plug into the venue's electricity supply. But to do festivals, festivals are a huge amount of work, and when you see people they literally go through about 500, 600 pizzas a night, and we couldn't cater with that, to be honest. So our maximum is about 120 pizzas for an event. So
okay.
It's not an area that we particularly want to get involved in.
Yeah, I mean, the festival side of things always sounds very glorious, doesn't it? I mean, I've been to many festivals, especially ones that are large like Glastonbury, and you look at how hard they're working. They're selling from pretty much 7 a.m. till 4 a.m.
Yeah, and they're also the cost of the pitches for somewhere like Glastonbury is phenomenal. So you have to turn around a lot of pizzas to make a decent size profit, to be honest. I mean, you think, oh, they're making a fortune, but it's costing them a lot of money as well. So it's not an area that we want to. I'm all for making maximum profit, minimum effort.
Yeah, that's definitely a good business philosophy. So with two businesses, how do you balance running two businesses?
So you have to be quite disciplined. I managed to sort of like extricate myself a little bit from the software business by us focusing on literally just having 3 or 4 clients. Our marketing. So I need to tell you a story. Way back in 2009, that literally I don't know whether you're young enough, old enough to remember the recession that came around. Basically, we had never done any marketing for Square One. It was always just word of mouth. So when the recession hit, the phones just stopped ringing, and it was a very, very scary moment. And it was then when I realised the power of marketing and learned an awful lot about marketing. So what I was able to do was generate enough, I think in the entrepreneur circle, they called it rhythmic acquisition of getting a client, which I didn't know that's what it was called then. But what I was doing was email marketing. And as a result of that email marketing, literally did it for every week for 6 or 7 years. We have a waiting list of clients now for people to use Elliot's services. So I don't need, and my role was marketing, so I can step away from that completely. So that's how I've managed to balance the fact that if I had to work full time in Square One and full time in the pizza business, it wouldn't work. So it's been about being able to set up a system whereby we have a waiting list of clients. So there's no stress in that respect from me. And then all I literally have to do, because of the nature of the clients as well, we've changed our business model quite considerably for Square One. It used to be graphic design, then it was websites, and now it's more software in terms of creating CRM systems for WordPress sites. So it's much more niche, and it also requires much less project management from me. So I was project managing graphic design projects, web projects. I don't need to do that now. We have retainer clients, and literally it's Elliot knows what day he's working for what client and what he has to do. So again, I don't have to manage that. So that's why I can sort of focus on, most of my time now is spent in the pizza business in terms of where is it going to go forward and how we can move it on and do all the marketing for that.
Yeah, so the key is, like you said, the key is discipline, but also it's come from your knowledge you've built up. So the 2009 recession was the banking crisis, effectively, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Literally, I think we'd been very naive for 8 years. We just literally had, as I said, the phone was always working. We didn't really do any marketing, and I didn't realise that I didn't really know what marketing was until you suddenly have to do marketing. But yeah, it was a very, very scary time. And the other issue and mistake that we made is that we weren't chasing money. So I think we had something like £20,000 of money outstanding when that crash happened. Fortunately, only one client went bust on us. I think we lost 2,500, but it took a long time to get that money in. So that is the other thing that we changed in our business model, is that we had money up front for websites and then halfway through, because some websites were taking like months and months just because clients were, I think they knew that they had to pay for it at the end of it, so they were dragging their heels. So cash flow was a big thing that we learnt about in that recession as well. Always get money up front if you can, and chase it really hard as soon as it's due. That's the other lovely thing about the pizza business. That money's in the bank before you even start sending it out.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, keep an eye on your invoicing and chase it. And I know we're very British. We don't like to chase money. We don't think it's a really polite thing to do. But if you've got a rigorous system in place, or get someone else to do it for you, if you really don't want to do it, just employ somebody. It'd be cheap as that than people going bust on you. Or, basically you're bankrolling them. So
that's it. Well, you're giving them credit, aren't you? Because without them paying you, that money's can't be put to work in your own business. So you're effectively giving them credit for no reason, isn't it? And it's one of the biggest reasons why businesses go bust, isn't it? It's because a lot of the time they're not actually insolvent. They just haven't got the money in that they're owed.
Absolutely. And I think the other situation where people can go bust is that they have all their eggs in one basket. And I think we were in danger of doing that with the, as I said, when the pandemic hit, we had 5 or 6 big clients, which sounds good, but actually in retrospect, you might be better off having sort of 20 medium-sized clients or small clients, because when one of those big clients goes or leaves or whatever, it's a big chunk out of your money coming in. So yeah, don't have all your eggs in one basket.
Definitely. Yeah, multiple revenue streams is the key to being able to ride out the storms, isn't it?
I think as well, if you can try and get a passive income stream coming in, all great. This is what we're trying to work towards with the courses that we're trying to create, because then at least, it's not like you've got extra business to do. You've created it once, and then hopefully you can just keep selling it. So that's where we're looking for the future, because to be honest, I'm 58. I don't really want to be cooking pizzas from a kitchen for the next 10 years. I'd rather be, creating revenue through online courses, etc.
100%. And that's leverage time as well, isn't it? Because you record it once and then it keeps making money for you. Tell us a bit more about these courses. So what are they going to be specifically teaching people?
We've got 3 courses planned. One of them's actually already been filmed. That's how to actually make the best Neapolitan pizza to impress all your friends and family. And the idea behind that is, once you've bought that course, we'll then be in contact with you saying, do you really enjoy making pizzas? Have you thought about having it as a business? So the next course would be initially, had to create a pizza business from your own kitchen, but it could then just transition into any catering business. It could be brownies, it could be apps, wedding cakes, it could be anything whatsoever, because the basic principles of setting it up and what you need to do legally, etc., is all going to be the same. And then the other and then built into that would be, and here's the website. You can brand it up yourself. We'll show you how to do that. Actually, you can add all your own products. We'll show you how to do that. But you can link it into a system whereby your chef knows exactly what he's cooking and who he's cooking for, and your delivery people know exactly where they're taking it and who for, etc. So that would, and then we could have that as a subscription model. Is the theory is that they buy the course, they have that free for a year, and then if they want to continue to use that website, they pay a certain amount. And obviously, we also have a hosting. We host sites as well, so we can combine the whole lot. And then after that, we've also got a marketing, specific marketing course for catering companies, which doesn't matter if you're doing them from home. For just literally, I think that such bad restaurants seem notoriously bad about marketing themselves, in my opinion. I mean, I'll go into a restaurant, have a fantastic meal, and nobody knows. If I haven't booked the table, nobody's got a clue who I am. I just walk out again. They've not captured my details. They've not done anything. So, there's a lot of ideas for the marketing course there.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a huge, obviously, absolutely massive market. And the majority of people, I imagine, that go into the restaurant trade go there because they enjoy the food, they enjoy cooking. And like you said, they're not marketeers. And if you can train them how to be marketeers with a fantastic business, that's only going to be a massive help to them. So definitely is a very good future business for you there. And would that roll into Square One, or would that roll into Casa G's?
It would roll into Casa G's, with the Square One aspect of it being like the website, the hosting, in terms of the main course, which is the home catering business. That's where we sort of see Square One software coming in. We're going, all right, here's the web side of it, and here's the hosting, etc. That's the plan at the moment. But also at the same time, Elliot has also been asked to create courses for literally WordPress courses. So again, that's another passive income stream that he's thinking of. It's just having the time to actually implement it, of course, which is where another good thing is. I mean, I'm quite fortunate that I can spend 2 or 3 days on the business. I think a lot of people make the mistake of just working in their business constantly because there's always so much to do. But that's because people don't outsource things. If you were to outsource, the boring stuff, I mean, who really wants to do their books? Nobody really. But we think we ought to, if I don't do it, I have to pay someone else to do it. But I guess what people aren't thinking of really is, yes, it might cost you £10 an hour to pay someone to do it, but you might be selling your time out, say you're in the service industry at £40 an hour. So in actual fact, your bookkeeping's costing you £40 an hour, not £10 an hour, because you're not able to do the stuff that you should be doing. So I'm a great advocate of spending time on the business as much as you can, really, because that's the only way you can grow.
I think that's one of the hidden secrets that business owners that have been, doing it for a few years find out, is that you only have 24 hours in a day, and you can only do so much, and you can only grow the business by working on it and improving it. And the best way to do that is by employing people, like you said, whether bringing them into the business or whether by outsourcing, so that you can free up your time to either market the business and grow it or work on improving your product.
Yeah, it's one of the big things that I see people not doing, though, because they're so worried about, about spending money. I think you just got to get that mindset. You've got to my advice is just test it. Get a VA, like somebody that you're not necessarily employing full time. Get a freelancer and stuff, and just test it for a month or two and just see how much more time you get, which then will obviously, hopefully, mean you can develop more services, more product, etc., and get more money into the business. But it is a mindset thing, because you are, especially if you're a one-man band or a two-man band, and you're so used to sort of like doing everything. There's another control thing there. Well, they won't do it as good as me, so I may as well just do it. You just have to. I'm very lucky. I've got a Philippine VA that I used to have a Philippine designer, and I've now just got a VA, and they can, it's one side to train them what to do, and basically you just send them video showing like, this is what I need you to do, and they get on and do it. And obviously it's literally I think it's $6 an hour or something. So there is cheaper ways now. There's also great English VAs. I'm not advocating just to go to the Philippines, but there's definitely ways of doing it and making it, so it's not too expensive.
100%. I went to a conference last year, and it was a James Sinclair masterclass conference, and they asked in the audience who has a VA that's based outside of the UK, and it was about 3/4 of the room put their hands up, which was quite a surprise. And yeah, we've actually invested in a Philippine VA as well, and they're fantastic. How did you, for those out there that wouldn't know where to get started, how did you go about sourcing a good quality VA from the Philippines?
There is a specific website, which I can't remember the name of it right now, but if you Google Philippine VA, it would come up as the top one. And basically what you need to do is write a really, really clear brief of what you want, what the job responsibility is, to be honest, what you're expecting them to do. You think you pay something like, the top of my head, it was something like £100 to place the advert for 2 months, I think. And then what happens is you get responses back. And when I was looking for the designer, I think I got about 12 responses back. I then shortlisted about 5, and I interviewed them over, obviously, Zoom. But I also, before the interview, I actually asked them to do specific. I gave them all the same project. It's just I think it was something like create 10 social media posts or 4 social media posts from me covering these topics or something like that. So they all had the same brief. And they'll happily do this for free. As I wasn't using them because it was a totally just made up the topic. But you can see their style. You can see that they're the right fit. And then from there, I then interviewed over on Zoom, I think 3. So out of the 12 people, only probably 8 people actually fulfilled the brief and sent it back. And then as I was shortlisted and then interviewed 3 and then chose another one. So it's a bit of a long-winded, because you could say, well, I'll just go on to Fiverr and use somebody, but you don't know who you're getting. And if you want a long-term relationship with somebody, so I had my designer for a year and a half. And then what they did is they just sent an invoice out at the end of each month, and you just pay via PayPal. So it's all very easy to do. And obviously, you specify how long. I think he worked for me 3 days a week, but you can have them for a day. You can have them literally for half a day. My VA is literally only half a day because it's just various bits of paperwork they need for the piece of business. So you can specify, you're in control of exactly how, and again, it's not always necessarily fixed. So you could say to them, well, for this week, can you work 2 days? Just the one thing to be aware of for the Philippines is they have a lot of national holidays. An awful lot of national holidays. Something like, 17 or something. So they don't work on those days. Whereas I know it is like, so as long as you know when they are, get them booked in your diary. But and they're such hardworking people. And I've had friends of mine say that, or imply that perhaps, it's a little bit sort of slave. It's absolutely rubbish because you're paying them probably 3 times more than they would actually normally get.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Obviously, it sounds cheap to us, $6 an hour or whatever, but for them, that's 3 or 4, maybe 5 times more than they would get.
Yeah, and that's completely my experience as well. And they, if they didn't want to do it, they wouldn't do it. That's the thing. They're very intelligent. They speak English very well, and they are very articulate with software as well. And all around, they work with thousands of businesses, across the country. So I think it's a very good fit especially for a small business or a growing business that needs a little bit of assistance when doing a task that they can outsource essentially. So going back to the start of the pandemic again, you were one of the founding members of the Forgotten Limited campaigners. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so obviously when the pandemic hit, we were being told that don't worry, small business owners, you won't be left behind, we'll sort you out, etc. Which is all great if you were self-employed, but not if you were a limited company. For some reason, they thought we were all fat cats and scamming the system, or it's just gobsmacked me, to be honest. And we'd only become limited about probably, I think it might have been just a year, September the year before we became a limited company. So to find you suddenly weren't eligible for any help whatsoever was just mind-blowing and staggering. And so I remember seeing a friend of a friend post something up, because I still think at the back of my mind, I thought, no, something will come along. Because it was probably about a month afterwards it kind of dawned on that we weren't going to be getting anything. And I saw a friend of a friend post something, and she said, I'm going to set up this group. This is outrageous. And it was just a Facebook group at the time called Forgotten. I think it was called Forgotten straight away, Forgotten Limited. And I then contacted and said, I'm more than happy to help you run this group because I've had experience of running large business Facebook groups in the past. So that's how I kind of got involved. And then within probably about 3 or 4 weeks after that, when we realised how many people were finding this so stressful, we kind of set up an actual, I don't know what you call it really, a group called Forget Unlimited. There was 8 of us sort of driving, and I was not as involved. So there's an amazing woman called Gina Broadhurst who literally campaigned, 11 hours a day on our behalf. She was talking to all the big bods, etc. I found out an awful lot about politics and whips and all this sort of stuff that, just staggers me today. And I did get to meet Martin Lewis on the steps of, we weren't actually allowed to go to number 10 because of the thing, but we were in London. So but it staggers me that we just didn't get anywhere. We were literally pounding on people's doors. We were talking to HMRC Treasury. And there were some, MPs that were standing up for us or trying to, but it was like knocking on deaf ear. It was bizarre.
Wall of silence, wasn't it? And you got up to 6,000 members, I think, on your Facebook group.
Yeah, I think there might have been, probably about 6,000. But the awful thing is that people were committing suicide as well. Our members, I think we lost 9 or 10 members because they just could not see a way out of it. It was escalating. For us, it was bad enough, but at least we could either pivot, but also some people they were in the catering industry or, the event industry probably rather than the catering industry. And they had thousands and debt was just spiraling and they could see no way out of it and no help at all. It was just, I think to this day that the government had blood on their hands for not helping out at all. And we were always, and also a lot of the general public as well were saying, well, if you will scam the tax system, thinking actually I'm paying 22% corporation tax and 7% dividend tax. I'm actually paying 29% tax, so can't quite work out how I'm scamming. But yeah, there was a big, massive divide. And it was so, you see all these self-employed people that you knew some of them were going and still carrying on with their jobs, getting massive, thousands of pounds, and saying, look, I've just bought this brand new car because I can. So there was a lot of, there was a lot of anger in the group. There was a lot of upset. There was, we were literally having to reach out to people to check they were okay, literally trying to get hold of them because, and as I said, some of them just weren't okay. It's just dreadful.
Absolutely terrible. Yeah, and it was a tough time already. Let alone with having your income pulled away and also government forcing down your business. When you actually break it down to, it was the reason they weren't trading was because the government weren't allowing them to trade, yet they were getting zero compensation and just expected to carry on with that,
I think that they just couldn't seem to see the difference between limited directors of a big national company and limited directors where they were just 1 or 2 people in a business who'd been advised to go limited by their accountant. Not necessarily, it was that we could not seem to hammer home to them that it's not big multinational directors that are, fat cats as they call us. It's just, I think they're just totally out of touch with real small business owners that were limited companies.
Well done for, campaigning for the thousands of business owners out there that were really, really struggling, and you did everything you could. And like you said, the experiences on the way, taught you a lot. And you obviously made some good connections as well. All we can say is thank you for doing your best. And it's
unfortunately, I mean, I think I left after about a year and a bit, but I could actually see that this just was not going to change. But I think it went on for another there was another company as well called Excluded. So there was two of us trying to sort of campaign. It was it was an interesting time, and it was something I would never have thought, that because I'm not particularly a political person. So it was, to find out how you had to, like the whole whip situation and how you had to get things tabled, and it was fascinating. But it was it was incredibly frustrating time as well, and just you had all these members, and you just felt, every time you go, right, we've got a meeting with so and so. And then you'd have to go back and say, well, yeah, nothing's changed. So yeah, it was hard.
Going on to the business side, so obviously a lot of people that listen to this podcast are, either thinking about setting up a business or they're currently running a business. What is the one thing that you would say to your younger self about running a business, to give yourself some advice?
Marketing. You have to be able to do marketing, because without it, if you don't have any customers, you don't have a business. So as much as, and I think that a lot of people hate the idea of marketing. So if you first personally don't want to get involved in marketing, you do need to find somebody that will do marketing for you. I think a lot of people just rely on, I've got a Facebook page, so that's it. It isn't. There's so much you need to do. I've now embraced marketing. I love marketing. I love coming up with different marketing campaigns for the pizza business. But yeah, I didn't do any marketing, as I said, for the first 9 years of my first business. And as a result, very, very nearly lost it because I didn't have a backup of clients. So yeah, embrace marketing, or find somebody who loves marketing to work with. But yeah,
that's really good advice. I mean, yeah, marketing is almost everything, isn't it? Without customers, you haven't got a business.
Yeah, I think people think that they have a great business idea, and because they think it's a great idea, everybody will know about it. I mean, I still, in this village now, I literally post on the notice boards every week. We've got leaflets out, and I think that I bang on about it all the time. But I'm still meeting people that say, I've never heard of you. When did you set up? 4 years ago. So you just assume that people know about you. That's the worst assumption you can make. And even if people do know about you, they forget about you. They forget about you because you're not important in their life. Pizza important to me, but they might have had a pizza 2 years ago. And oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And that's where brand awareness and that level of marketing starts coming in, isn't it? Well, talking about obviously brand and letting people know about you, Rachael, tell us, people who've listened to the podcast, where can they find out more information about your businesses and yourself?
Well, obviously the website, casags.co.uk, that's got information about the courses that are coming up that people can register for a wait list. So when they come up, we can let them know about them. They can connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Rachael Willoughby, and I'm the one with probably pizza icons all over the shop. But yeah, that's probably the two ways to connect with us at the moment.
Lovely. Rachael, thank you very much for being a guest on We Built This Business. Fantastic story, and really enjoyed the variety that you've got going on as well, and the knowledge that you've shared. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week.